Hey everyone, welcome to the VO Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Ann Ganguzza, and today's guest is someone who has quietly and powerfully supported the voiceover industry for nearly 2 decades. John Florian is the founder and webmaster of Voiceover Extra, the voiceover industry's award-winning online news, education, and resource center. Since launching the platform in 2007, Voiceover Extra has become a trusted daily destination for hundreds of voice actors seeking industry news, expert articles, resource lists, webinars, and an extensive archive of practical how-to guidance from leading coaches and professionals. Before creating Voiceover Extra, John served as an editorial director and writer for business consumer magazines, and he beautifully combined his passion for journalism with his love of voiceover to build a platform that connects, informs, and elevates our industry. This month, we are celebrating his retirement from the industry, as well as his many, many years of service, generosity, and unwavering dedication to supporting voice actors everywhere. John, welcome to VO Boss. It is so wonderful to have you here.
Thank you. It was wonderful to be with the boss, and we've known each other for millions of years too.
I
And
know, right?
I'm honored to be with you now.
I know. I don't know why it took us this long to get together, but we're here now, and
Here we are.
I think it's at a monumental moment in your area of the industry, and for you as well. I mean, I want to say before we dive in to this interview, I want to say on behalf of myself and all of the VO bosses, thank you, John. You have been such an amazing connector in this industry. I mean, long before connection was a buzzword. And I like to think I'm a connector, but you were before me. And I never told you this, but I remember, I think it was in 2010, I was at the Voice Conference with Penny and, Penny Abshire.
Jim.
Yeah, and Jim, thank you. Yes, and you received a community award.
Yeah.
At that time. Yeah, for your contributions to the voiceover community. And I said to myself, I want to do something like that. I think that's amazing. I want to do something for the community. So you actually inspired me, believe it or not. A few years later, I came up with the VO Peeps idea, and then I started creating resources for the community as well because you were an inspiration to me. So, really, thank you for that. And
Wow.
Voiceover
Thank you.
Extra has really been such a reliable resource for all these years. And I want to really celebrate you today in this interview, in this show. So, yes.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it so much, Ann.
Absolutely.
Gosh, I've been the mutual. You've been my inspiration too, and but we might talk about some of that stuff as we go along. I think
Sure
the community
thing.
we all help each other build up too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, 2007, right? I mean, 2007. What what was it? First of all, I guess I'm going to ask the initial question is, what led you from your original publishing and editorial leadership to voiceover? What was it that drew you into voiceover?
Somebody told me, well, all through the publishing career, sometimes I had an opportunity to be on a radio or something and do something. And somebody told me I have a great face for radio. So, I mean, all those old jokes. But when my publishing career ended, 25 years in business magazines, I thought, geez, voiceover, maybe that's it. So there was a classified ad, I think it was, in a local newspaper. This is, if you're interested in voiceover, here's this adult education class, go. And somebody was there, and there were about 20 of us around, and we all did a little sample script. And I noticed, I was so happy. I'm standing up in the class, and there was a microphone there, and the instructor's off to the side. And I read it, and I could see in the corner of my eye, the instructor went like that. He looked at me. And then he afterwards he says, okay, I want you to, come and take 3 lessons and then cut a demo, and then you're going to be a star. I did it. But so that was my transition. I mean, that was the way it started.
Yeah, and that was a while ago, right? That was what year was that?
That was 1999.
Okay, fantastic. And now in 2007, you I guess you had a nice career in voiceover at that point. And you somehow came up with the idea of Voiceover Extra. Talk to me about that. What was the evolution of that? Because I can see where the publishing and the voiceover came together there.
Yeah, actually, the evolution wasn't all that easy. For a couple of years in my beginning of voiceover, I did all over the place, all over from Connecticut, local studios and cable television outlets and all that kind of stuff. I did some medical narrations from magazine articles. I never really got into the big time. I don't know. I couldn't do that. And at the same time, I was freelance writing. Putting all this together was a grind to make an annual, to make an income, and health insurance was an issue. I didn't have any. So I went back to the corporate world for a while. Hated it. It wasn't me.
I hear that.
And so I think, what can I do to merge voice acting and publishing? So I kind of thought of this, but I don't like a seat back then, CNN on the air, with something like news and training and something open to everybody, not just me. I'm the resource place. And I met up with one thing I'm going to say is network and conference with people and make friends. And I had joined a Toastmaster group, which is a group which helps you speak and learn how to speak better. And one of the friends I developed through that was Don Smith, and he's a life coach. And I told him what I wanted to do, and I remember sitting at his apartment, and we came up with this idea. I got to give Don credit. He came up with the name Voiceover Extra, XTRA, exclamation point.
Yes,
he taught
like
me
a newspaper.
He taught me constant contact, and I was really excited. But I still wondered, do I take the jump from this corporate thing where I was having insurance, and at the time there was a lot of marketing stuff going on, and what do they call these week-long marketing things where you go and you do all kinds of things. You climb mountains, you walk a tightrope, and you do all that kind of stuff.
Bonding.
It was grueling.
Bonding,
I mean, we have judo and boxing each other and everything. Toward the last night, I ran across the hot coals, and the thing was, you run across the fire, and at the end you declare.
Was that a Tony Robbins? That was a Tony Robbins thing? Because he's known for that.
It was similar. It was Harv Eckert, I think was his name.
Okay.
Yeah. And the thing was, you run across and you jump and you declare to the world what you're going to do. And damn it if I didn't do it. I ran across, and I don't know why I didn't get hurt. I said, I'm going to do it. And I was so happy. I ran back and I ran over to another coal field, and I was so excited to tell my wife, I decided to do it. She's sitting there with her feet in a bucket of cold water, and she was so burnt from her try. Just before she went across, they had raked the coals hot. So I thought it was my resistance that they did it, but anyway, it was his chance. But that's how I did it, and that's what I hooked up with a web developer, and we concocted what we've got, the whole format like that. That was in actually 2006, and then 2007. Before I launched, I attended the first voice conference with Jim Allberger and Penny Abshire in Las Vegas, in Smoky Casino. Met everybody, and Don LaFontaine was there, and there was a line of people to meet him, and I told him what I wanted to do, and he said, I'll help you.
That's awesome.
I never got a chance to before he passed away, but other people said they would help me. Of course, Jim and Penny, and a bunch of voiceover people who remain good friends now. And a few months later, I launched.
Wow. Now, at the beginning, did you just have articles, and where did you get the information? I mean, is it through your network? I mean, how did you know what to publish?
Just looking over the early stories, I've still got an archive of about 2,500 articles still on the site.
Oh my gosh!
So
wow.
Before we retire it, people can go and download and look at them. Some people were writing blogs at the time. A lot of the stuff was mine.
Okay.
But people who had written blogs, or people actually whom I was meeting locally in Connecticut, I just bumped into. I was still doing voiceovers then, so at workshops I'd meet people and I'd say, "Hey, will you write for me?" And they became articles. And that's when I met Rob Sinklin-Paglia also, and we became kind of accounting buddies. What do you call that? Accountability buddies.
There you go.
As our careers developed, and Rob wrote a whole bunch of articles for me, and it just developed. Pat Fraley was, I met him at the first Voice conference, and when I launched, I had, because of the business cards I collected at the Voice conference, when I launched, I had about 50 subscribers. He asked me about how many have you got? I said, about 50. He looked at me and said, by the end of the year, you'll have 500. And he was right. He was right. It just magnified.
You were the only resource like that at the time that I know of.
Exactly.
I mean, it was such a one. You were pioneering. You were pioneering that in the industry, which is, I have such respect, and I'll tell you why. Well, I've always had respect, but just yesterday, I was migrating blogs over from my VO Boss over to my Ganguzza, and I have quite a few blogs on VO Boss because I've been doing it for 9.5 years. From what I know, I had a total of 506 blogs, and they went to go migrate. Yeah, so it's 506 episodes. So they went to migrate the blogs over to my Ganguzza, and I have an additional 400 there. But there was a technical glitch where when they migrated them over, they weren't supposed to, publish. And what they did is they all published it once, and for every blog article that I publish, somebody gets a notification in email. So guess what? Everybody got spammed about 506 times saying, "Ann published a blog, Ann published a blog." And so I was freaking out, of course. But the funny thing is I had a lot of people say, "Wow, you have a lot of content." So, So, and I was even surprised. I was like, "Wow, I don't remember that." Oh, wow, I remember I did that one a long time ago. But 2,500 articles is a wonderful collection. And it is no wonder why you are so popular, because all those articles, and I don't even know if you knew that at the time, right? But good SEO. I mean, talk about being able to be found on the internet. All those words and all that cataloging, and so early on, right? And now, it's how many years old that, it's been out there. So you must have amazing SEO, and you have amazing reach for people. So that's just a wonderful benefit. I mean, really adds a lot of value to that website.
Thank you. Yeah, good SEO. I wasn't even too mindful of that, and I should have been more. And every now and then, somebody write an article, we'd be in a webinar, and somebody talk about it, and say, "Yeah, I better do that."
But you know what's interesting? You didn't really have to. You didn't even do much, just because the articles existed.
It was there.
And,
right.
and they talked about voiceover, and there's no real, nobody really knows the golden answer of, SEO, except it absolutely helps to have organic content, which is what you had. And the more organic content, you have, the better you are found. And so that's a very impressive thing. I remember always thinking when I was, looking at your website going, wow, he must have quite a list. He must have a lot of people that he's connecting with. And I was honored to be, in some of your webinars, as well as contributing to those articles. And so
your
when did the
webinars
come into place?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when did your webinars develop? Were they in the beginning too, or
Close
did you
to the
provide
beginning.
just article resources?
Close to the beginning. I did the articles, and then I also became a vehicle for coaches, for products and services, to reach the voiceover community. So those are the two initial things. And when did I do? Maybe I think probably in the second year, I started workshops, and they were in New York City. The first one was with Alan. Oh my God, I forgot his last name. I'm sorry, I haven't been in contact with him for a while. Then Johnny Heller in New York City. I did maybe 3 workshops with him. Dan Leonard with the technology. By then, he was writing articles for me. He came down. He was living in Buffalo, but he came to New York City and taught about.
So you held them in New York City then?
I held them in rehearsal halls in New York City.
Okay.
And I thought it was so cool. I thought, hey, I'm big stuff, I'm going to New York City and around Broadway, and I'm going to the rehearsal halls and people dancing and doing acting and all these things. I'm taking up this room, and That was fun. It was a lot of fun.
That's genius. I was not aware of that. That's fantastic. And so you had people from all over that would fly to New York and take
Well,
these
I guess I think it was.
workshops,
I think they were mostly local. I don't recall anybody flying in from anywhere, but there were enough people. We had the
Sure.
workshops would have maybe 15 people, 15 or
Yeah.
20, depending on 15 or 20 or so.
Well,
The following year, I evolved into the webinars, and I think it was
well, that
I
would have
forget
been
WebEx. Was it WebEx or something? Or
2010. Yes, yes, I know. I remember that because I was doing webinars with WebEx, and I hated WebEx. But I will tell you, in 2010, when I started VO Peeps, I had a background in technology and education, and so we had done distance education just through direct video connections. We had like a video network, and so we could broadcast classes to other parts of schools that were on the network, and right towards the end there was webinars and there was WebEx that came out, and that was like the first. I think it was the first software that allowed people to connect over the internet, right, and hold webinars. So number one, I mad respect because you used WebEx. That was not an easy software. It was quirky sometimes. And then Zoom came around. I would say around 2011-ish, it started to become popular. Only
That
because,
sounds right.
because I was doing WebEx, and then I was like, oh, look at this Zoom thing. It's really cool. And Zoom really opened up. Talk to me a little bit about how those webinars being online helped open up even more resources and connections for you.
Oh, it was interesting. People, the coaches said, "I want to do this with you. I want to do this with you." When I announced that I was doing webinars, the first one was online with Dan Leonard, and it was so good to be doing that, teaching the technology online, because Dan had a concept where he would, the background would be a screen of, say, whatever software, whatever DAW he was using, and he'd stand there like a weatherman, and he'd point to this and here's how to do that stuff. And we had series. We had series, for instance, how to construct a home studio, how to record and edit, and how to process, and all that kind of stuff. And we did that a number of times. He was the first one, and then I had other coaches say, "I want to do this with you. I want to do it monthly. I want this." So I tended to do it, say, twice a month, and. Of course, when I promoted it to my list, it was growing and growing and growing, and I'd promote this along with other advertisers. And that brings up something. I was worried, do I promote myself? Because does that take away from my advertisers who are also using this thing? They didn't care. It didn't seem to mind. It was all part of the community.
It's an interesting point that you bring up, because I remember when I was like, I want to do something for the community, or at that time I was technologically savvy, let's say. I knew that.
I envied you on that.
Well, I knew that if I had a website and I had blogs on it, or I had something to contribute, I'd get more traffic to my website. Therefore, maybe I would get more voiceover work, that kind of thing. And so I was like, well, what do I say? What do I even talk about? And that, and again, when the VO Peeps came around, I was like, oh, I may not know what to say myself, but I can certainly host, and I can bring on guests, and I can interview guests, and in a way, it was really wonderful because it connected me with so many people that were like my heroes. And what really made me happy inside was that whenever I would ask somebody if they would, if they wanted to come and present or wanted to come to do a meetup with me, because I started hosting meetups both at my local house and online, and not one person said no. And I was asking at the time all my heroes, and I was like, oh my gosh, and they didn't know who I was. And I said, would you be willing to come and, either be online on a webinar or, come to my house and present? And everybody said yes. And I just thought it was so wonderful. And it was shortly after I moved from the East Coast to the West Coast. So I didn't know anybody on the West Coast. And so it really helped me along in getting to know people in the industry and not feeling so alone. I think one thing that I can say from my knowledge is you were connecting people when they needed it. Because voiceover is it's such an isolating thing. We say that all the time, right? We do our auditions, we go into the studio. Well, at the time, maybe we were going to studios to do auditions, but still, it's one of those things that I think was isolating. We're kind of in our booths, and it's our own business, and so we're not necessarily gathering around the water cooler talking to all our colleagues because they're all over the place, and we don't know what they're doing. We don't, and at the time, the internet, like Facebook groups, weren't really there, and so you never really knew what any other voice actor was doing unless you were able to meet with them. And you provided that. I think you were probably the very first person to do that for the community. And so I want to acknowledge that because back in the day, I'm like 2010, that's when I started VO Peeps. And I'm like, you were earlier than I. And it's funny because today it's like, people are like, VO what? Peeps? I don't... like, because I merged it into VO Boss, but it's funny because we've been doing it for so long, and you've been doing it even longer. So, kudos to you, congrats, because that was a hard thing to do. Technology-wise, it was hard. Things were glitchy, and the fact that you were able to provide that so that people didn't feel so alone and had a resource to learn about home studios, to learn about things from other coaches, to go attend a webinar, but not necessarily have to be there in person because that's an awful lot for somebody that's in a fledgling business. It saves a lot of money, and it provides that resource that it was so needed. And so again, I'm recognizing that and thanking you for that. And
thank you.
Yeah, and helping me to be being an inspiration, and helping me to say, yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
So did you ever have a time in your early career in voiceover and doing VoiceOver Extra that maybe you thought, I don't know if this is working out, or this didn't work the way I planned, and you had to maybe shift gears? And what was that like?
You mean once a week?
Yeah.
Back early on, there was something called Scoop. It was one of those things like AI does now, but it was back then. It was this app, or not an app. I don't think you had apps back then, but this program or something, service where you could become a publisher yourself. And people would pull in articles and blogs from anywhere, and they say, hey, this is Janie, voiceover. And then they list everybody else. That was a competition in a bit.
Yeah,
and it was a little annoying to a lot of people because they'd be pulling in stuff that was copyrighted. They had no right to do that.
Yeah.
So I made sure, do I have a right to do this? And everything was copyrighted. And in fact, there was a voiceover P2P, pay-to-play site that was doing all their own newsletter, and I found that they were reprinting me without even asking. And they were not just printing me, but they were because of republishing me, they were posting somebody else. So there was a whole string of things that, wait a minute, people weren't aware of copyrights. I think they did it not purposely, they just didn't know. They didn't have the right to do it. And of course, that goes into today what's going on with the AI.
So interesting. And nice of you to have Rob Sigampaglia as a comrade, because I'm sure he could be like, John, no, they don't have the right to do that. I love Rob because he's always been on top of like, no, you don't have the right to do that. Yes, you can do that. No, you can't. But you're right. Back in the day when all of a sudden websites started to really kind of blow up and build up, and people wanted traffic, that's what they would do. They would provide those external links, or they would, create the content, because that's what everybody said to do, create that content. And I'm very well aware of people republishing stuff that was, even mine, under their, another name or their, business. And so that was kind of a thing that went on. I don't know does it still happen today? Probably. It may not be as noticeable because there's so much content out there. It's just, that's tough to tell. But did you ever take any kind of like cease and desist or legal action about that, or
that particular example that I gave? It took them a while to respond to me, and I finally did cease and I didn't use those words, but hey, stop it, come on.
Yeah.
Be ethical.
That email cease. Well,
I think they just had I think they had a person doing that for them who was unaware, and it took a while to catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cease and desist. Well, I've
That's,
had.
interestingly, there's a scam going on with, every now and then I get a notice from this company now based in somewhere in Europe and says, you are using a photo that is unauthorized. And
Oh, geez.
wait a minute,
Wow.
generally when I publish an article, it's just the headshot of the author. But way back when I used some generic stuff that was from a service that I used, and it was Fotolia, which sold out to Adobe and all that kind of stuff. And the first thing, you owe us $1,000 because
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
owned by this. And I talked to Rob, and he said, yeah, I don't know, respond to them or not. Don't worry about it. It's probably a scam. And anyway, if you get
Scary
something
though.
like that,
Scary
either talk
though.
to
I
Rob
mean,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Rob has helped me
There's
out
all
in
kinds of crap.
he's helped me out in so many situations.
Yeah.
There's a big
Yeah.
shout out to Rob. And Rob has written a few cease and desists for me, and actually helped me out when I was told to take something down because actually my VO Boss logo was very similar to Hugo Boss. And Hugo Boss said, yeah, you can't do that. And I was just like, Rob, what can I do? And he helped me through all of that. So, yeah, I mean,
You know
is a
what?
thing,
That does remind me. I have a logo. Where is it? It's not available now, but it's a circle, and you put it on my VoiceOver Extra hat, and it's a microphone.
Oh, yeah.
And
I have that. I have
so
that
it became.
hat.
Didn't even say VoiceOver Extra on it, but it
Yeah.
became. I thought, hey, this is like the Nike thing. I found online once there was an outfit in Turkey was using it
Oh,
for their
really?
own association. I wrote them once, and I never saw it again. But I was always worried, is that going to be
I
stolen?
love
But that
that
was the
hat.
only
Are you kidding?
instance I saw.
Okay, wait. I have a story about the hat. There's a story about
Oh.
that. You remember the hat with the microphone? Yeah, it was black with a red brim, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was great. It was like the first like swag out there that was like voiceover, and everybody was like coveting that
that's true,
hat.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think you were in an interview at the 2010 conference, and somehow you threw out hats to people. Somebody threw out hats to people, right?
I throw
Yeah.
them out to the
Yeah.
crowd sometimes.
You
yeah.
threw a hat out, and Larry. Oh my gosh, Larry. He's
Hudson?
No, he's an amazing voiceover actor. Oh my gosh, he is a good doppelganger for Morgan Freeman. If you
Oh.
remember, right? And so he actually got the hat, and he was a few rows in front of me, and I was like, I don't know what I did, but I was sad, and he just turned around because he kind of intercepted it, and it was truly it was coming to me, and he intercepted it, and I was like, and he turned around and he said, "It's okay, it's yours," and he threw it to me, and I was like, "Oh my God, I still have that hat today, you know that."
Oh, how
I
cool.
should have brought it.
Yeah,
Into the
I
studio,
should
but
think so too.
I
Yeah.
love that hat. But yeah, we go way back, John. Just saying. So
It was fun. It was fun coming up with stuff that I hadn't seen in the industry before.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was among the first of that stuff, but
oh
probably,
yeah.
perhaps.
Well, see, I'm here to recognize that. I mean, and I it needs to be recognized, John, because it was truly impactful. I mean, yes, of course, you've had a wonderful website, but I mean, the fact that you did it when you did it. And you evolved over the years. It really says a lot about you, and I'm just very grateful,
Thank
grateful
you.
for that. So, talk to me a little bit about when you were in the throes of VoiceOver Extra. Was that what you did full time? Was that or you were also doing voice acting at the time?
I was doing voice acting and still freelance writing a little bit, but the most of my, but you do what you love.
Yeah.
My passion was the websites, the publishing.
Yeah.
Writing, I like to write, but sometimes it's like, oh, I got to write. Publishing comes so, hey, let me just do it. This person was here. We'll put them on here. We'll do this and get these people together. And that's to promote people, you know?
Yeah.
And then just to make them the stars, and I come along with it. I mean, that's one of the things. And that is something Pat Fraley told me in that first conference, or actually when I started, I guess that first conference, I was talking about articles and promotion. He says, hit yourself to a star and 2 stars and
Yeah.
come along with them.
Yeah.
And so that's okay.
Good
That's
advice.
good for articles and webinars, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I just remembered it was Larry Davis. So shout out to Larry. Larry for being a
Oh,
good person.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, wonderful.
Larry's a good guy. It's been a while since I've
Wonderful.
seen him. I don't think I've seen him since that conference, but yeah, he's still around doing awesome
Well, that's
voiceover. So
nice.
yeah, shout out to Larry. So
Hey, Ann, can I go back to something? I made a mental
yeah,
note of something when you're talking
sure
about
thing.
doing the boss stuff and me doing the webinars and meeting everybody. So something, if I don't know, I don't want to forget this, just in case we get to career advice.
Yes.
One thing is become visible in the industry, and one way is to volunteer. You can learn. That gets you to meet people, and that's in the editing game. I found as a reporter, as an editor, I could go anywhere I want. In the publishing days, we had a bunch of business magazines in a lot of different industries. I could walk anywhere, get an interview with anybody, meet anybody, and that's just like when you're volunteering. Like say at a conference, you become the ambassador, whatever they
Yeah.
call it. You're doing something. You're meeting people, and you're not necessarily asking this casting director for a job, for an appointment or something like
Yeah,
that, or an
yeah.
agent.
But
You're
you'll
just
meet them.
becoming
Yep,
friends with them.
exactly. Which
You-
is a brilliant marketing. It's a brilliant networking
mhm.
strategy.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah,
it is.
yeah,
I love that. And speaking of advice,
yeah.
and you mentioned passion. You wanted to do what your passions were, and that is something that you actually advise listeners to find what you love and pursue it. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay, okay. Yeah, do what you love, but of course there's a reality to it. Can you afford it? Can you
Yeah, right.
realistically can you
Right,
do it?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
because there has to be a way that you can do what you love and then make money to pay the rent
you
or to
need
pay
you
the
need a lot of
mortgage.
support. You need a lot
Yeah,
of support and a lot
yeah.
of realism to it.
But
Yeah.
it also requires a lot of courage, John. I mean, because you were like,
Oh.
should I take the jump? Right? I mean,
Hmm.
and I don't think it gets any easier. Do you know what I mean? Just because like every time I try to jump off and do something different, it's still it takes courage because you're going
Hmm.
into the unknown and you just
Hmm.
don't. There's all these things that can cause you to lay awake at night. And does that still happen? I mean, now you're
Oh,
going to retire at this point,
of
but does
course.
that still happen for certain, yeah,
Oh
parts of
yeah,
your
yeah.
business?
But how you get over that is to have confidence, not to be cocky about something, but to have confidence
Yeah.
that even if you fall down, so what? So what? There's
Mm-hmm.
always, what'd you say? Recently, you did all, what, 250 of your boss webinars or your boss podcast went into somebody's email?
500. It went
500?
506 went into I
Well,
got 1,500 of them because I subscribed 3 times. But
it's
yeah,
so what? You come back smiling,
yeah,
and there's the lemons, the lemonade type of thing.
yeah,
And I've had
yeah,
that a number of times in webinars. Is, oh my gosh, what did I hit the wrong button and
yeah, yeah,
something
yeah, yeah,
happened?
yeah,
But you have
yeah.
confidence. Take it easy. Take a breath. And you mentioned passion. I guess you got yeah, you really got to give yourself a needle to keep going sometimes. This kind of gets into how I got my first voiceover job, if you don't mind me saying it.
Absolutely.
I had done a lot of training. I'd done a second demo after that first one, which was a disaster. I
I think
did
all of
more
our first
training.
demos, might be disasters.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was so proud of it though. I remember
Hmm.
taking it to the car and putting the cassette tape in the car, and then my brother-in-law said, "What do you think?" And he was silent. And he said, he was a corporate lawyer. He's in the business world. He
Right,
said,
right.
well, it's a bit over the top. And, I said, and then I took it to a workshop in New York City, and there was casting directors and agents there, and where you'd play your demo, and they played mine, and I'm sitting there and thinking, it wasn't as good as a lot of the others, but it wasn't that bad either. And he universally says, do not play that to anybody whom you want to. Okay. So anyway, I moved on. And talking about passion and pushing like this, in the marketing, I would call that back then. This is before the internets were real popular. Well, emails. Yeah, no, the emails. I guess you could still do that. Yeah, emails.
Yeah.
Um, I would contact a studio or a local cable television outlet, and I'd say, I got a demo, and you need voice actors. And they'd say, universally, they'd say, put it in the mail. I don't. This is before the email thing, and universally, I didn't. I'd visit them. I'd drop it off, and I'd get to meet I'd get to meet the person right there. You know, sometimes they'd say, "Oh, come on into the studio." The first job I had, it happened. I dropped it off, and the producer was also doing the voiceover himself, and it was for a carpet, 30-second carpet ad, Burberry carpet, and he was tongue-tied. I just got
There you go.
he was
Tongue-tied.
tongue-tied. He couldn't do it. He says he didn't know me from anything. Yeah, I'm walking and says, "Hey, I got a demo. Yeah, listen, can you do this in 30 seconds? You got it." The advertiser was right there too. I did it. Boy, I walked out of there sweating, but with a check for $50, and that was
there
my
you
first
go.
job. So anyway,
Yeah.
rather than mailing it, take a little initiative, take a little bit of
Sure.
a risk. There wasn't a big risk. If it didn't work out, it didn't work out, but it
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, you've seen a lot in your history in the voiceover industry. What do you think about where the industry is headed today?
Well, we're
I mean,
in the
where do you think the industry is headed, first of all, and what do you think about it? It's certainly become more saturated.
I don't know what the outcome's going to be
Yeah.
5 years from now, but we've been through changes, and it's like there's in the middle of a career, even if there's always a lull, and there's
Yeah.
always you might have to retool and rethink what you're doing and how you do it. And the same stuff, some of the basic same stuff applies, like relationships matter, but technology matters too. You got to keep up with technology.
Yeah.
You might have to change in some way to accommodate AI, not let it rule you, but just change, roll with it. Just like a number of years ago, the home studio revolution
right?
came about. If you didn't have a home studio, you weren't going to make it.
Exactly.
And we were pretty heavy in telling people how to do that, and it was really kind of good. Where it's headed, I don't know how it's all going to shake out. I think there's more technology around. We have no idea what it's going to do. But the human element is always going to be there,
Yeah.
and how you tap that for yourself.
Well, so we talked about your retirement now. So what led you to the retirement? Did you have another passion that you wanted to pursue? How did that come about?
Yeah,
I mean, you've been doing it a long time. I mean, you absolutely, deserve, to have retirement time. Absolutely.
Yeah. What I like, my third career.
Oh, there you go. I love it.
It's already begun. A writer of mystery humor. And I have a book in mind that just won't quit. I started it, oh my gosh, I started it 15 years ago, and it's totally different now. And I can't even, it's so unique, I'm not even going to mention it now. But it's going to be a great book. It's going to be take over everything. It's going
All right.
Audio
There you go.
book and all.
Manifest. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, do you have somebody in mind are you going to do the audio for it yourself?
Oh,
or
I certainly have people in mind.
Oh, okay.
One person in mind for it who would be excellent. But if I almost said if. When I get the book published, and I will get it published, but I'm still in the mode of learning my craft. And this gets back to the fact of somebody who say they like cartoons, they like audiobooks, and I can do that. Well, you got to learn the craft.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm reading books on how to write novels. I'm going to conferences on it and networking, and I'm having fun doing that too.
Yeah.
But this particular genre I'm talking about, mystery humor, I wake up in the morning and I think of something, a character, and I start laughing. It's just fun to me. And
That's
it's one of those things like editing and publishing. I'm putting it together is what I like to do. And I'm putting together these ideas, and then the writing. And even some people in voiceover whom I told about this, they said, "Oh, me too. I'm writing. Well, let's keep in contact. We're an accountountability group developing already with the friends I know."
Yeah, yeah. I have a couple of books in my head. They're in my head, and I have notes, and it's tough to write. That I will say for sure. And I know that other writers that I know that have published books in this industry, it takes them years. And so again, I love that you are learning the craft, Because I
Yeah.
think you never, as a former educator and educator now, I mean, you never stop learning, and you're a wonderful example of that. So I love that you're pursuing your next passion. And I actually have not really heard of mystery humor genre, so I like it. It's a combination of two things that I love. So I will be looking forward to that. And let's,
Okay.
I again. Last advice that you would have for people entering into the industry today, what would you say to them?
Learn the craft, take some risks, don't be afraid of it, be professional, be friendly, network, and and persist. If you love it, persist. And
Yeah.
and if there's some roadblocks, find there's some ways around it. There's going to also there's going to be roadblocks. There's going to be a lull in your career, and then there's going to be people who help you get around that. It's not just might just not just come to you right away. If you got time for a little bit of story, Joe Cipriano, who's one of the premier promo guys in the world, wrote a book called On Air.
Living on
in
living
it-
is it living on air or living
Living
on
on Living
yeah.
on Air.
Yeah.
Yeah. In it, he talks about starting off as a DJ when he was a teenager. In fact, in the town that I was living in at the time, we
Oh,
met
wow.
each other many years later. But I heard him on the radio as a teen. He went to Washington D.C. market, and then he went out to L.A. and he was doing promos, and then all of a sudden his career just tanked. What am I doing wrong? But he was in the community then where he knew Don LaFontaine and a bunch of other people. And he took advice from Don. I don't recall what it was that's in his book, but he did it. He retooled, and wow, he soared.
Look at him now.
So there's got to be something.
Yeah.
The advice: keep at it if you can.
Yeah.
And again, the money is a big deal. If you have to go back to corporate or do something you don't want for a few years, there'll be a new wrinkle that might come along, and how you can get back into something. And then, of course, don't assume that you know everything. Keep on the
Yes.
training. Keep on the
Absolutely.
coaching. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, John, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. How can bosses, if you want to be found, how can bosses maybe find you if maybe they want to hear more about your book coming out?
Well, my email is geez, I don't know if I want to give my John Florian.
You don't have to. You don't have to. I'll just
No, I will. because I'm
contact
going to
me.
keep.
I'll be your go in between here. So
Oh, I appreciate it. But I don't mind. John Florian at VoiceoverXtra at xtra.com. I'm going to keep that.
oh,
little
okay, okay.
Yeah. So
and,
I'd love to hear from you.
Are you gonna have like a pen name? Is that what they call it? A pen name, like a different name for your book, or is it gonna be John Florian?
There's
John
John
Florian
Florian.
author.
I'm sorry about that raspberry. John Florian Media is a vague thing, but I haven't got any .com on that yet. The book will have its own website
Okay.
and
Great.
quite a lot of fun stuff with it.
Well, we'll keep in touch. And,
Okay, you bet.
And then once you release it, I'll put that out there for the bosses.
Oh, thank you so
they
much,
can keep
Ann.
in touch, and you've really, again, thank you so much for all your contributions. You have been such a wonderful resource, so generous, providing that to us. And I wish you all the best in the next endeavor that you are going on, and I am going to be following you closely. So.
Thank you, Ann. We're going to stay in touch, and I hope to stay in touch with so many friends too.
For sure, for sure.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks again. I'm going to give a great big shout out to our sponsor, IPDTL. You too can connect and network like John and I. Find out more at IPDTL.com. Bosses, have an amazing week, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Goodbye.